I had moved to a new city because of my job. The city wasn't very big, but it was quiet and peaceful. I shifted into an old apartment building named Savitri Heights. The building was quite old, probably built around the 1940s. But the rent was cheap and it was just 10 minutes from my office, so I took it immediately. Everything in the apartment seemed normal, except one thing: the wardrobe in my bedroom. It was fixed into the wall like it had been installed while the building was being constructed. The door was unusually heavy, and it had a small, old-fashioned lock on it. The owner told me it was just for storage, nothing inside, so there was no need to open it. I didn't pay much attention at first, but as days passed, something started to feel strange. At night, I always felt like someone was watching me. Often, when I was sleeping, I heard faint scratching sounds, like someone was scraping the inside of the wooden wardrobe. I thought it was just my imagination, but after 4 nights of hearing the same sound, I inspected the wardrobe closely. Oddly, the wood at the bottom had faint scratch marks from the inside, as if someone had scratched it with fingers. But the lock was sealed, so who could be inside? I assumed maybe some animal like a rat had gotten in. The next day, I called a carpenter to break the lock. He broke it open, and we opened the wardrobe door. Inside, there was another small door, like an entry to a secret tunnel or hidden space. It was covered in dirt, cobwebs, and a horrible old smell, like something decaying. I took a torch and peeked in. It was a narrow tunnel, probably going 10 to 12 feet deep. I couldn't see the end. The carpenter immediately refused to go in. "Brother, I just came to break the lock," he said, and left. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that tunnel. Around 2 a.m., I heard the scratching sound again, but this time it was louder, like something was pushing hard from inside the wardrobe trying to come out. I got up with my torch and went near the wardrobe. The sound stopped. I peeked inside the tunnel and felt like something dark was moving. Suddenly, my torch turned off. In that darkness, I heard something crawling rapidly toward me through the tunnel, like hands and feet digging through the sand. I immediately stepped back, shut the wardrobe, and pushed a heavy sofa in front of it. I stayed awake the entire night. The next morning, I went to the building's watchman and asked who used to live in that apartment before me. At first, he hesitated, but when I pressed harder, he said, "Sir, a man named Raghov used to live in that flat. He was quiet, but one day he just vanished. When the police came, there was no evidence, just one thing. He was last seen opening that wardrobe. He was never found after that." I didn't know what to do. That night, I tried to sleep without disturbing anything. But around 1 a.m., I heard someone screaming. I was terrified. I thought someone said, "Help me." I pushed away the sofa and went to the wardrobe. The sound was coming from inside the tunnel again. But this time, it was a clear cry for help, like someone was trapped. I thought maybe a child or a real person was stuck down there. I took my torch and crawled into the tunnel. About 10 feet in, it opened into a small room. There was a chair, and Raghov was tied to it. But his face didn't look human. His eyes were pitch black and blood was dripping from his mouth. He looked at me and screamed, "Go back!" Suddenly, the door behind me slammed shut. I turned around to run and saw a little girl standing there, but her face was upside down. She smiled and said, "Now it's your turn." The next thing I remember, I woke up on my bed. Everything was normal. The wardrobe was shut, the lock was back. But my hand was resting on the floor, and in my hand was the old rusty lock, the same one we had broken.